I'm trying to get a better leg shot here. I'm going to back up. Let me turn this off. Bethany had mentioned she's got peroneal tendonitis, and she was trying to explain what that muscle or tendon. Let me show them back far enough. Down the leg here, anatomically speaking, the leg is from the knee down. So you got your tibia bone right here, your shin bone, the tibia bone, and lateral to that on the outside, you have a fibula bone. It's a smaller bone. And what originates on that bone, there's two muscles, the peroneus or fibularis muscle. There's a peroneus longus and a peroneus brevis. The longus is just longer. It originates higher up on the tibia bone. The brevis originates a little farther down. But then there's some long tendons that go down here that connect to the fifth metatarsal, the one that connects up to your little toe there. They connect right about there. You got a cuboid bone down there, so I guess right in front of the cuboid. And the function is to evert the foot. So if you're like this, if I turn my foot like this, that's eversion. And that's the function of the fibularis muscle, is to evert it. That's pretty much it. I looked it up real quick. One of the articles said might have healed varus. They aren't really using the term correctly, but what they're trying to get at is if you have a natural tendency, if your feet are kind of like inward like this, and that'd be supination, this way it'd be pronation, but if they're inward a little bit, and then those muscles are going to have to work harder to pull that foot straight. So I don't know if you have a natural tendency to do that or not, but that was mentioned as a possible cause. It's a overuse injury. Just kind of backing off a bit can help. You also mentioned shin splints, and that's kind of a favorite of mine. But the camera's resting on a tray on top of the coffee pot here. So for me, when someone says shin splints, 9 times out of 10, I'm usually thinking minor compartment syndrome, because the leg from the knee down, there's 4 compartments in the leg with different sets of muscles. And up front there, you got the tibia bone, the tibialis anterior muscle. It can't easily expand like other muscles. If I go to the gym and work out and I pump my arms up, my arms can get, say, up to an inch bigger, because extra blood flows in those muscles when you're working them, and the muscles get measurably larger. Now you've got fascia around your muscles. There's a covering to all your muscles. There's a covering to all the compartments. And so this is usually with new runners, new shoes, going up hills, sprinting, anything new or different you're not used to, it's going to send some extra blood to those muscles, in particular the tibialis anterior muscle, which is the muscle in question when it comes to shin splints. So when that extra muscle goes in, when that extra blood goes in the muscle's going to expand. It's only got so much room because it's got that big old shin bone right to the left of it. And so it's going to press against the fascia. Now, fascia is something that can accommodate with time. It's not elastic, but it can stretch. You don't always read that, but it's kind of obvious. I mean, bodybuilders would not exist if fascia couldn't stretch. It's got an accommodation property to it. So you couldn't have 20-inch arms if the fascia didn't expand along with the muscle. But obviously that takes time. That's a little compartment up there by the shin. And you've got a periosteal covering around all your bones. So if you have a muscle attaching to a bone, it's actually attaching to the covering of the bone, the periosteum. Sometimes that periosteum can pull off the bone. It's an enthesiopathy, and that's extremely painful. The foot's cool. The foot's really cool. I have a big mirror in my hall bathroom, and when I was in gross anatomy, I had the entire mirror covered with PowerPoints of the 4 layers of the foot. I left myself a 6-inch square to shave. And, there's a quadratus plantae muscle there that goes from the heel. It attaches not to another it's a muscle that does not attach to a bone. It actually attaches to a tendon of the flexor digitorum longus. Now, the flexor digitorum longus flexes the toes, but it comes in at an angle, and the quadratus plantae muscle comes up and kind of keeps the pull straight, so your toes flex straight. If you didn't have the quadratus plantae muscle, your toes would flex like to the side, and that would kind of mess up. We wouldn't have our running club because our toes would be all messed up. But anyway, I tried to explain the fibularis or the peroneus, longus and brevis muscles, and like I said, you got the tendons. When you run out of muscle, then you got tendon that hooks up basically to the outside of your foot and causes your foot to evert. Go like this. The tendons down there are held in place by retinaculum. You've heard of carpal tunnel syndrome. You got like tendons here. There's retinaculum. It's just like a band of fiber that kind of holds everything in place. So if you're gonna have carpal tunnel syndrome, you'll go in there. Docs will cut the retinaculum. That's one surgery for it. Anyway, the major compartment syndrome is with the gastroc, the big muscle in the back of the leg there. Now that's serious. That's a medical emergency. You can have neuroclaudication or vascular claudication, which is extremely serious. But the neat thing is the surgery for that, once they get the skin, they cut in a zigzag pattern along the fascia, and that's kind of got to be left open. And I imagine that hurts quite a bit also. And that's about it. Anyway, I hope this explains and doesn't not explain. I hope this helps. And tag your doctor. Did I say that? I want to tag your specialist. Ask him if he thinks that if shin splints, what most people complain about with shin splints, ask him if he doesn't think that might not be minor compartment syndrome. It makes sense to me, because you're flooding that tibialis anterior muscle with blood. It's expanding. It's got that tibia bone right next to it. It doesn't have the same room to expand as a lot of other muscles in the body. So, I see what he thinks. Let me know. Whoops, I hit my tray. Thanks. Have a good night. ZENVEDA Day 21 looks like. Bye.